Hey everybody, welcome to Crypto Wednesday. I'm Shelly Palmer. We're here in New York in the shadow of the Empire State Building on a beautiful day. And we're here to talk about pretty much anything you guys want to talk about. It's an Ask Me Anything Wednesday, office hours kind of Crypto Wednesday. Lots going on in the crypto world, lots going on all over the place. So welcome. We are on YouTube Live today exclusively because, well, let's just face it, it's the coolest platform. So welcome all you YouTube Live people. And I'm happy to have you all here. Please say, where you are. Give us a little bit of a heads up. Say hi and chat. Of course, you can tell each other what you do, a little bit about what you do, where you are, and we can get a good solid chat going. And of course, please ask me anything. That's what this is all about. Joey Lewandowski, my trusted sidekick, is monitoring chat very closely, so we'll be able to put your questions up on the screen. I see we got a bunch of them already, so thank you for that. And you can also use Twitter. We're monitoring Twitter, because we always do, at Shelly Palmer, of course. So, and you can, of course, send an email to shelly@shellypalmer.com. We'll get that eventually. I don't know if we're going to get to answer all those on the screen, but we did have a lot of questions this week, which we're going to try and address, which did come in by email. So thank you for that. Again, please just, let us know who you are, where you are, what's happening. Very excited to be here today. It's been such a crazy crypto week as crypto goes. The crypto market is getting frothy. I will put it that way. Let's actually, I'm going to have a quick look at just see what the numbers are right now. I don't always like to talk about crypto numbers, although I do tend to talk about them a lot more than I should. Bitcoin's at $56,210 right now, and ETH is at $34.88. Polygon's at $1.21. Cardano, that's ADA, is at $2.12. Polkadot's at $36. These are all up big numbers. Hello, Michael Port. Welcome. Glad you're here. Glenn, I know you're in New York City, so yay. Howdy, everyone. Beyond Social Media Show. Glad you're here, too. Don't know who you are, but I'm glad you're here, so thank you. Beyond Social Media Show. Yay. The markets are insane right now. Some people are thinking this is a big pump before a big dump. Some people are saying now it's going all the way to someplace else. The amount of Bitcoin that's moved around in the last couple of weeks has been extraordinary. The amount of cryptocurrency moving around has been extraordinary. With all of that, one of the very biggest stories is about Coinbase. And, our friends at Coinbase, they've done a pretty good job of going public and making themselves super important. And I think they've done a good job normalizing the idea of having a currency exchange. Hello, Edward Menicheski. Glad to have you here. The big issue is that Coinbase is down like 24% and it's trending down and its stock is languishing and everybody's wondering why. And they're trying to make this about Coinbase and the crypto business as opposed to just about Coinbase. Hello, Stephen Sobel. And in fact, this is probably just about Coinbase. I gotta say, Coinbase is the most expensive exchange you could possibly exchange anything on. Hello, Thomas Herman from Connecticut. It is about as much money as you can spend to make a trade. Even Pro.Coinbase.com, which is Coinbase Pro, is still relatively expensive compared to any other exchange you might exchange on. And I'm not hawking any other exchanges, so I'm not even going to mention other exchanges here. I'm just going to say that if you want to spend the most amount of money you can spend on anything, if you, from a trade perspective, if you want to buy with the highest possible fees, Coinbase is where you go. So the idea that their stock isn't doing well, yeah, I think a lot of people who are becoming more savvy in the cryptocurrency trading business understand that Coinbase is crypto trading with training wheels. And they are supposed to be super safe, but they've had some terrible security problems. Maybe the last big one was in May, but people don't forget. And especially when it starts coming to people going to their cryptocurrency wallets on Coinbase and finding crypto missing. That's a big issue. So I don't want to yell at Coinbase, but if people are wondering why it's down so dramatically, it's down so dramatically because it sucks. I mean, it's just not a good product. It's, maybe they can adjust their pricing. Maybe they can adjust their security to the point where you feel really safe. Maybe they'll tell a better story. Maybe they'll offer more financial instruments and they'll offer different approaches. They're also, and this is not their fault, they're very regulatory compliant, and the crypto business tends not to be very crypto regulatory compliant right now. And they don't offer a lot of the products that an FTX would offer, which I understand perfectly. I really do. But anyway, that was one of the bigger stories. People were asking all about why Coinbase is this and why Coinbase is that. It's like, folks, there are other exchanges. They are not the only exchange. They may be the most famous. You got Crypto.com advertising, FTX, the US is advertising. A lot of these guys are just, are out there for blood. FTX is putting more money in the marketplace. Crypto.com putting so much money in the marketplace. And why? Because they want to get famous. They want you to be synonymous. They want to be synonymous. Binance is trying to become synonymous with crypto trading. So, Kraken's out there doing their thing. They're all trying really hard. This is a very competitive marketplace. So taken all together, super competitive marketplace. You're the most expensive guy in the market. And by the way, you've had a couple security issues. Duh. I don't know. That's the low-hanging fruit for the answer. Are there more complex answers? I'm sure there are. Once again, this show is not about financial advice. I'm not a licensed financial advisor, and you are just listening to me for my humble opinion and entertainment and information value. Certainly, I am not here to tell you where to invest your money or how. That is absolutely not my not my intention, nor am I licensed to do so. So let's have that disclaimer out there. Any of your questions, please feel free to ask. Again, this is an Ask Me Anything kind of day. You can ask each other questions and chat amongst yourselves. We are on YouTube Live, so that's where the chat is happening, and I'm monitoring it right in my teleprompter so I can see all of you chat, and I hope you will. Howie Schwartz, welcome. Glad you're here. So let's talk a little bit today about the most disturbing thing that is non-crypto that I have seen in a long time. This was in the news this morning. This is from Ghost Robotics. This is a 6.5 millimeter sniper rifle. That's a Creedmoor round. That's accurate to 1,200 yards, and it's supersonic out to 1,200 yards. I've shot rifles chambered in 6.5, and it's a sniper rifle. That is a sniper rifle built into a quadrupedal robot. It's a robo-dog with a sniper rifle on it. And they were tweeting about this today. I would love your opinions about this. This reminded me of the Imperial Walkers from Star Wars, only a miniature version, far more deadly. Add a little AI to this. It's fully robotic controlled. There's no soldier that's put in harm's way. This is a weapon that just sent shivers up my spine. I have a thing, and it is an appropriate conversation to have in the context of crypto, because we talk about technology neither being good nor bad. It's one of my absolute axioms of life that I'm very optimistic as a human being generally, and I would say to you that technology is not good or bad. That's a distinction that I would use with people. People are good and bad, and people do good and bad things. I don't think people are intrinsically good or evil. I think people do good and bad things depending on what side of the river you're on. But generally, technology is not good or bad. And of course, the immediate pushback, whenever someone brings that up, the immediate pushback is, well, what about the atom bomb? What about chemical weapons? What about thumb screws? What about, it was like, okay. So yes, technology for torture and for doing harm, that is, I guess, intrinsically bad. I'm going to go there. But Robo-Dog, I mean, this thing is just, look at this thing. Look at this thing. Wow. Just, wow. Wow. And I guess, yes, Thomas Herman, it was inevitable. Edward Winchesky, yeah, inevitable. The robot murder dog. I guess. I think the only thing that scared me more than this was there is a video on YouTube about a swarm of tiny little drones that are AI based and flown into an area, and they have little explosive devices on them, like bee stinger drones, except that they're looking for people and they're killing people. It's just a disturbing video. Thomas Herman, Israel used a version of this, no legs, back of a pickup truck to take out the Iranian nuclear scientist a couple months ago. Yes, that is exactly right. That was a fascinating use of AI. There, the AI was used to do two things. One, as this particular Iranian scientist insisted on driving himself to his country house against all recommendations from his security team. So there was a U-turn that needed to be made to get to the road that led to his country house, and they faked a disabled vehicle, and they put cameras there to ensure that he was driving and sitting in the front seat, and they used AI face recognition to recognize that it was him, which they did to 99 point something % accuracy on this fateful day. The car made the turn. They had put a pickup truck with tarps over it, and in the back they had mounted a machine gun that was able to be fired by a sniper in a location outside the country. And when this car got to where it needed to get, when you read the article about this particular assassination, and that's what it was, they assassinated the scientist who was in charge of the Iranian nuclear program because they felt he was a threat to the national security of Israel. You can argue the politics all day long. What was interesting was there was a 1.6 second delay from the time that the camera picked up the vehicle to when the sniper at the remote location could react. And they used AI to compensate for the delay to aim the weapon. So it was a human-machine partnership between the sniper and the AI that was controlling the weapon. It was fascinating. RoboDog here, they don't talk much about how they're going to control RoboDog, whether it's AI or whether it's autonomous or whether it's robotically controlled like an RC vehicle. They don't talk much about that. I'm sure you can do whatever. Oh my, this one just caught me off guard. And of course, somebody just wrote me a note they didn't want to put publicly. They just texted me on my cell phone that, and then they pay out anonymously with crypto. It's like, come on, guys, crypto's not anonymous. You can do anonymous transactions that are semi-anonymous, but crypto you're hiding in plain sight. So let's be clear about that. This is a really interesting story. Hello, Atori from Connecticut. And, oh, yeah, Michael Port, on a positive note, Captain Kirk did make it into space today. I saw him gushing about how amazing the experience was. I can't wait to watch that YouTube video. He was emotionally shaken by the experience, and I'd love to hear what he had to say about it. For reasons you can imagine, just an insane William Shatner fan and a ridiculous Star Trek fanatic. So I was happy to see James T. Kirk get to the edge of space, and I was actually fascinated by his response. This question is, Facebook's Diem going to happen this time? So what you may or may not know is that Facebook's Diem is really Libra 2.0. Libra was a stablecoin that was going to be backed by various hard currencies, fiat currencies from around the universe, euros, pounds, dollars, and they were having all kinds of corporations load up. And then Libra was going to be a stablecoin based on that. But yeah, that ain't what happened because the government of the United States said no, and they really got in Facebook's face about it, and they made that stop. And it was like a big deal. Now they're coming back with Diem. It's going to be another stable coin. I don't know if they're going to let Facebook do this. If they do, it'll be fascinating. What do we hear? Shelly, do you think about people who maintain anonymous in their social accounts about crypto and NFTs? I think privacy is important. I don't think America exists if there wasn't privacy. If you stepped outside of the Continental Congress and you were having a conversation with you and Ben Franklin and you were out of earshot of everybody, I think you expected that conversation to be private. You didn't think anyone was eavesdropping. You would have a conversation that would help you plan to do things you felt you needed to do. I think that certain transactions, good or bad, white lies or real lies, there's a certain level of freedom human beings are entitled to. I don't know that every single move needs to be watched. And unfortunately, I don't think there's a min-max. I mean, once you open a backdoor to a password protection, once you open up a cryptographic backdoor, you just have to assume that it's no longer a private conversation. So we've never had technology like this in the history of humanity. We've never been in a situation where the walls could listen, the doors could listen, the lights could listen, the smartphones could listen, the speakers could listen, the computers could listen, the lasers, infrared lasers shot at the window of your house could vibrate, and you could be eavesdropped on with the fidelity of a digital microphone and a recording system. It's like, no, this is not a world human beings are prepped for. We assume that if we use the bathroom, it's private. We assume if we're having a private conversation with a loved one, or if we're trying to have a conversation about giving a surprise party, that we have some reasonable expectation of privacy. Now, we don't have a reasonable expectation of privacy. And, you know, if I want to give my kid $20 and say, look, go get a present for your mom and don't tell her that I gave you the 20, just go get her a present for your mom. You know, is that different privacy? And we have to going to come to grips with that as a society, because if you've got a stable coin that you start to transact in, while it's true, Walmart can reverse append your credit card data because you are a client of theirs when you use your credit card to buy something in Walmart. If you buy something with a stable coin, that transaction's on a blockchain for all the world to explore. And while you may not be associated with that wallet in your mind, someone who's studious won't take them very long to figure out who's who. Chainalysis is a company that analyzes public blockchains, which are available via blockchain explorers. I know what wallets have transacted today. It's publicly available. That's the whole point of a publicly available distributed ledger. That's what this is. We're going to have a lot of conversations as governments get into this. Are you going to want United States issued dollar stablecoins? Do you want a Chinese yuan, digital yuan, issued by the government of China? Do you want that in a crypto wallet? Do you want to spend that on something? I don't. I have no interest in that at all. Edward asks, if Facebook DM happens, does Amazon coin, Google coin, you name it coin follow? Does it? Absolutely. It goes without saying. I actually am pretty sure we're going to see a couple of different internets emerge. If Web3 gets any traction at all, and the difference between Web 3 and Web 2, the Web 2 being where we are right now. Web 2, we have URLs, which are indexed in a DNS, a domain name service, and you type in a canonical name and you get to an IP address. Well, you need to invent IP addresses and do some fancy dancing to take content in Web 3 and make it work that way. Because in Web 3, there are no URLs, there are content IDs, where the content is identified because it lives on peer-to-peer nodes all over the planet. Makes it hard to delete, makes it hard to update, makes it hard to do a whole bunch of stuff with. So you can make a Web 3.0 environment look like a Web 2.0 environment. There are many, many advantages to Web 3.0 when it comes to preventing censorship, when it comes to preventing things from ever being deleted, when it comes to, there's all kinds of stuff that libertarian and egalitarian things about Web 3.0, it's just going to be a little hard to work with. But if it gets any traction at all, we're going to see some real friction between what we would consider central authorities and fully decentralized environments. And this is going to cause the fully decentralized environments to take on a Wild West vibe that they don't have. Everybody calls it the Wild West, but you can still go with caution. But that would pave the way for a Facebook internet, an Amazon internet, a Google internet that was safer, more like the walled gardens of AOL in the past. I can imagine that future. I'm not saying it's going to go there, but I can imagine that future where you just decided, for my kids, I'm going to leave them inside of Google. I'm going to leave my kids inside of Amazon today. And you're going to, I would never do that. It's like, yeah, you might. If the outside world was 50 times more dangerous as opposed to what it is right now, you might choose some walled gardens. Because if I could search what I need to search and stuff was going to get filtered and there was a central authority that was monitoring child pornography, that was monitoring all kinds of illicit behavior and things that I just didn't want my kids or myself exposed to, there are changes coming that could, this is new technology and we're on the cusp. It's just starting. So it's hard to understand where it's going to go. But if you let yourself go to the darkest possible space, the really darkest possible space, it can get pretty dark pretty quick, because uncensored, unfiltered, and unregulated is unfiltered, uncensored, and unregulated. And human beings have proven they're not really wonderful at being responsible in that respect. They're just not. The president has promised to crack down on crypto pretty hard. He's looking to regulate crypto for tax purposes. I mean, what the president is thinking about right now is he's thinking about just how the IRS gets its hands on the couple of $1 trillion that are sitting in the crypto world right now. You've got various world bodies talking about minimum corporate tax getting ratified and approved. I think 15% is the number. They're all trying to band together. Since 9/11, FATF, the people that have been dealing with money laundering, have been diligent, and they're working hard to try and set it up so that it's harder to money launder than it's ever been, and they're also trying to make it harder to hide from the tax man than it's ever been. And I can understand that sentimentality. So while we're talking about things that are awesome, by the way, segue, I always forget to mention that Tech Stream with Shelly Palmer and Seth Everett is a podcast that Seth and I do about pop culture and tech, the intersection. And it happens on Tuesdays. And I would really, really love it if you would go to Apple or Spotify or Google or Amazon podcasts, or wherever your fine podcasts are served. And please have a listen. We have such a good time. And each week we talk about, cool stuff. And Seth is amazing. Also, super plug for Seth. Thursday nights on his Twitch channel, Seth is doing Thursday Night Football as a licensed co-viewing environment from the NFL. They've got a whole bunch of Twitch people that they've given the opportunity, they've contracted the opportunity to talk about the football games and to co-watch and co-view, and Seth's done a nice job. And of course, if you could meet us on TechStream, that would be super fun. And while I'm promoting stuff so I can get it out of the way, I have this book on Amazon called Blockchain, Cryptocurrency, NFTs, and Smart Contracts, an executive guide to the world of decentralized finance, which we're talking about today. I would, of course, truly appreciate it if you would, if you'd have a download. We're donating the proceeds to Girls Who Code. It's a pretty good primer. I just updated it to the second edition a couple of weeks ago. It's selling very nicely, which I'm happy about. The second edition is actually a legitimate size for a book, so you can jump on that if you'd like. Okay, no more promos. So it's interesting. A couple of weeks ago, the Chinese outlawed crypto for realsies. They just said, no more crypto. And yet NFTs in China are booming. Now, you're not allowed to transact in crypto in China, but of course you can use fiat currency. So they are using fiat currency in China right now to buy NFTs with. They're just as crazy about NFTs as people here are in the United States. They're just not allowed to use crypto to do it, which is interesting. Atari asks, what are my thoughts on what are my thoughts on the crypto announcement from Coinbase? And I am, I like the people at Coinbase. I just don't like using Coinbase. It's expensive. It's just expensive. So how's their NFT marketplace going to do? I think their NFT marketplace is going to do just fine for the uninitiated. I think everybody who's just getting into it, there need to be starter on-ramps for everything, and Coinbase is an on-ramp, as we discussed. It's like, oh, I don't know anything about crypto. What's a safe way to get into it? If somebody asked me that, I would tell them to go get a Coinbase account. With all the things I just said negatively about Coinbase, the first thing I would say to them is go get a Coinbase account and goof around. See what it feels like, because you're not going to get hurt there if you pay attention in class, and then move all your stuff either into their vault or into a hardware wallet, which would be the next thing I would say to anyone. But the reason I would say that to anyone is that after 3 or 4 weeks of your experience on Coinbase, you would immediately understand why you need to move your accounts first off your crypto first to and your NFTs first to your own wallet, for sure, and then how to you get a little more experience. You use different tools in everything, right? It doesn't matter what discipline we're talking about. In absolutely every discipline that you'd ever get into, you get in with starter kits, and then you get more and more advanced. You understand as you get to a certain plateau, it's like, oh, wow, there's another mountaintop there, and I need different sets of tools to get there. So, I don't know anybody who's really an experienced trader. By the way, if you're going to trade anything on Coinbase, you go to Coinbase pro.coinbase.com. But even that, like, if you're spending $100,000 inside a 30-day period of trading at that level, you're still not getting anywhere near the price that you're going to pay on an FTX or a Binance. I mean, you are really overpaying. And if you're moving around real money and your job is to make money with your money, paying extraordinary fees, not a good thing. So yeah, I don't think they're going to do poorly. I think, NFTs are a place that a lot of people are dabbling and they're trying. This is a question from Tom Herman. Will Coinbase NFT marketplace, will it support Polygon or Solana? Or will Coinbase do it? Coinbase is funny. I don't know. Polygon, I think they already do, actually. I think you can buy Matic on Coinbase. Pretty sure you can. I can go look right now, but I'm pretty sure you can. Solana, I'm not going to give any financial advice here. Everybody should read about the Solana Foundation and do some research. Just Google. You don't have to run a clinical study. I'm not saying go academic on this, but you definitely want to spend a few minutes understanding what's going on with Solana. It is a very, very interesting ecosystem. It's a really interesting platform, and I have a lot of high hopes for Sol is their token, SOL. And they're doing really interesting stuff. You also, while you're thinking about crypto, you owe it to yourself to read about the Cardano Foundation and what's going on there. Terra Foundation, you need to read about that too. These are all different approaches. Everybody says when they start talking crypto, they start talking Bitcoin as if somehow Bitcoin is the only crypto or the only way crypto is done. Couldn't be farther from the truth. Crypto is thousands of currencies, and the decentralized finance marketplace is significantly different depending on which foundation is involved. I would argue Bitcoin is the oldest and probably least interesting of all the technologies. It's the grandfather of all of it, to be sure. It's the first and most and best known. But you look at Ethereum and the Ethereum Foundation and what they're doing with ETH, and you look at Solana and Cardano and what they're doing with ADA and the Terra Foundation. There are so many interesting things going on. Look, Internet Computer is fascinating. Also, comp is their thing, Internet Computer. But the issue there is the tokenomics, and that's the next thing if you're going to get into the world of decentralized finance, and if you're going to get into all of this or any of this, you want to understand what the tokenomics mean. And tokenomics is the difference between something that has real sustainability and something that is a pump and dump scam. And what you need to evaluate, how many coins or tokens were issued initially, how are they divided, who owns them, are they in the treasury of a foundation, are they owned by a bunch of VCs, is some of it reserved, are they minting coins, are they mining coins in proof of work, are they minting them in some other methodology like proof of stake, and how many, is it deflationary or inflationary, is there a limit to the number of coins that will ever be there? And you need a little bit of expert knowledge to understand the meaning of those things. So anyone who is thinking about getting into any level of cryptocurrency speculation or cryptocurrency investment for any duration of time, and again, not financial advice. If you're in it for get rich quick, you're in the wrong live stream and you're talking to the wrong guy. Like I can't even understand the worldview of somebody who's going to treat this like the lottery or who's going to treat this like a get rich quick scheme. That's insanity. Again, not financial advice, personal opinion. That's insanity. But if you want to get into like the decentralized finance marketplace, or you want to understand Web 3.0 or the tokenomics, literally the economics of the future, where people are incentivized when they create value to exchange that value, and the tools by which they will exchange that value, and that value will be stored, that happens in the context of the tokens and the market prices of the tokens that are issued, whether they're utility tokens, whether they're stable coins, whether they are meme coins, whether they are privacy coins, whether they are, exchange coin. There's a lot of different kinds of approaches to manufacturing coins and what their use cases are. You owe it to yourself. You really owe it to yourself to spend some time and learn about what the supply of tokens might mean, the way the tokens are either inflated or deflated by changing the supply, who owns them, who mostly owns them, who do you suspect is speculating in them, what level of pump and dump, and then the number one thing that any professional would have you look at, which is liquidity. Because you can't have a robust marketplace in anything unless there's liquidity there. And, there are liquid assets and illiquid assets. And if you want to call a cryptocurrency an asset, a digital asset, then the question is it a liquid asset or an illiquid asset? Meaning, if you put it in a marketplace today, is there a reasonable expectation someone's going to be there to buy it if you're there to sell it? And if you want to go buy it, is there someone willing to sell it? And are those prices in a marketplace, and is that marketplace moving around? And can you move that marketplace with $500,000? Because that's crazy. If someone spends $2 billion in crypto today, the market's going to move. That won't happen in the stock market. I dropped $2 billion on the New York Stock Exchange. No one's going to care. You drop $2 billion on Coinbase today, picking up a coin? First of all, it'd be crazy to do it. But assuming that you did it on Coinbase, the market would move. Right now. Absolutely. And so those kinds of, they call them whales, and those kinds of transactions have big impacts. Why? Well, because either the markets don't have enough liquidity, or these are well-placed purchases. They are designed to create pump and dump environments. So you just have to understand, and if you need to sell it today, this second, to liquidate it, is it sellable at a price that's near or what you'd want it to be at? So liquidity pools are big and yield farms are big. So understanding why people are farming yield, how they are building liquidity pools in crypto, understanding what the supply of tokens look like. These are things I would beg you to do before you start getting into this with any kind of, ideas about what this might be. Learn what it is, not what it might be. Learn what it is. Again, not financial advice, just good old-fashioned common sense. Scott Moss says there's always someone willing to purchase something. Price is just an issue. That's true, But if you were playing a yield farm game with a meme coin that was built as a game, and you're playing a game of crypto musical chairs, and you are the last one holding the bag, there's no one to buy it at any price, and you're going to get hurt, and you're going to get hurt hard. And not understanding that is at your own peril, Scott. So that's what I mean. Liquidity pools and yield farms. There's no regulation. There's no one to go see. There's no one to talk to. There's no one to protect you. You are on your own. And if you're holding a cryptocurrency that goes belly up because you thought, wow, this is get rich quick. Look at this thing. It's just going up and up and up and up and up. And all of a sudden you go to sell it on a decentralized exchange, which is more dangerous than a centralized exchange by definition. And there's no one there interested in purchasing the $10 million worth of stuff you have. You know, what's the old adage? The best way to make $1 million in the movie business is to start with 10 million. Well, best way to make $1 million in a yield farm is to start with $10 million. Not financial advice, just common sense. Please ask your questions. Tell me where you are. Tell me what you're doing. This is, of course, Crypto Wednesday, so we're talking, but we don't need to talk just about crypto. See some other questions here. 24%. Let's see if there's any launching NFT marketplace. China banned crypto. Yeah, we covered most of this. DM, we covered that. What else you got? What else you got? Immigrant Bitcoin miners acquiring a coal-fired power plant in Pennsylvania. Yeah, not environmentally friendly. Yeah, coal-fired power plants in crypto. No, that would be a big no. New York State and Texas, though, are opening crypto miners with open arms, and a lot of people are using geothermal, which I think is a good renewable energy, which are good ways. Understand that the whole story of eco-friendly, eco-not-friendly, do yourself a giant favor. Spend 5 minutes researching that topic. Manufacturing anything, playing a video game, like video gamers use more electricity than crypto miners. Video games are not eco-friendly. They use electricity. Nothing that uses electricity is particularly eco-friendly. Electricity is it's not, if you use renewable energy to create it, that's great, but mostly we're in a world of coal-fired electrical plants here in the United States, certainly in China too. Nuclear has a bad name. Wind doesn't do enough. We don't really have hydroelectric power everywhere we'd like to have it. We have some, not enough. I mean, this Hoover Dam's pretty good. There's a couple other good ones. We don't have them everywhere. So it's nowhere near as nasty. It's a story that people are using who want to go beat up crypto mining. I'm not saying it's a great use of electricity, although if you learn about power grids, I think I've talked about this before, if you learn about load balancing power grids and how power grids need to, maintain load, and understand also, and this is a key point you will find if you do a little bit of reading about electrical grids, you can't store electricity past a point. Alternating current doesn't get stored in batteries. If you don't use it, it's gone. Yeah, you can store a little of it. There are ways to level out the grid, and some people do store some power that they can sell back to power companies in limited quantities, and you can learn all about that. But it's not like I've got these massive storage units where, I'm going to manufacture a bunch of electricity and I'll keep extra and I can just release it to the public as it's available. It's used as it's created. And so that level of capacity, I think it would behoove everyone who wants to tell the negative story to understand deeply what they're talking about, because I like to rip people to shreds pretty hard who get up and start talking to me about, and I don't need to use whataboutism. What about video gamers? It's like, tell me how you think this is damaging the environment when a crypto mining facility is using geothermal power that they are, that's fully renewable, or they're using wind power, and the power they don't use, they're selling back to the power company or putting on the power grid and making available. I mean, and I can show you example after example of, and the reason, by the way, is purely economic. Every crypto miner wants the lowest possible cost of electricity because it's one of the highest costs. All right, electricity, if I can get down to 4 or 5 cents a kilowatt hour as opposed to 25 cents a kilowatt hour, this is a giant deal if I'm trying to mine crypto. And you know that people who are mining crypto aren't doing it as a hobby. I do it as a hobby. Basically, I've got some computers that are on, and instead of searching for extraterrestrial intelligence using the SETI thing, and instead of folding proteins, which I was doing for a while, I just have a mining crypto. But that, I mean, that's, you know, that get your facts, and be armed with that so that you don't have to get into that conversation. You know, you don't have to get into the conversation about, well, it's not, you can get into a conversation. One of my friends, I was sitting at my very first out to dinner with some friends that were not relatives 2 weeks ago. And one of them owns a Tesla. And we got into this conversation, and I did not weigh in because I didn't want to get yelled at, and I didn't want to be seen as a know-it-all, which, you know, that can happen. And the conversation was, well, Teslas are not, you know, the carbon footprint of a Tesla. It's a lifestyle choice. It uses rare earths, and it uses so much electricity, and the carbon footprint's so huge when you make a Tesla. There's no, and I was like, guys, I'm not going to get into this conversation. You know, they went at it. You know, the anti-Tesla people were talking all about how, you know, an electric car really is not good for the planet. Okay. So, yeah. Let's see. Scott Moss is saying, please keep in mind the price might be negative. Absolutely. And are there any coins which require mining from renewables? Require? Stephen Sobel asked that question. That's a nice question. I don't know if require. It'd be awesome if it were true that you can only mine using renewable energy. It'd be a great way for a foundation to have a purpose. I'm not aware of any. If you are, please put it in chat. I'm not. I know that there are some carbon sensitive foundations where they're doing their best to minimize the carbon footprint of, and by the way, proof of stake is significantly more energy efficient. And you see, you really see that in the charters and the manifestos of the foundations, where they really state as part of their purpose that they're proof of stake or proof of authority or a different, more energy efficient way to validate and confirm trades, confirm blocks. So, yeah, I think it's out there. I don't know if there's any that actually specify renewable. I'm going to do some research on that. Thank you for that question. I really like that question. I'm going to go do some research about that for next week. It's coming up on the witching hour. I'd like to end this around 1 o'clock. I think I've talked to you about everything today except PGX. Now, in the description, there is an invitation to PGX. It is our private social network. The private social network, we talk about all the things every day. You're going to meet some really interesting people, and you can do some interesting and fun stuff. So please consider joining PGX. You are absolutely welcome to do that. This is my email. It's Shelly@shellypalmer.com. Send me an email about anything. You've got a blockchain project you think is interesting. Please, please, please just send it along. And if you're interested in some of the stuff we talked about today, we've got a resource page, shellypalmer.com/blockchain. There you'll find links to a database called our Crypto Resources Database. Everybody that we're running into, all the different companies, all the different foundations, all the different coins that we're starting to research that we like. People are making NFTs, people are enabling NFTs, all the software. There's a resource page there that'll take you through some of this, which is super fun. And then there's a like I said, there's this database. It's Airtable, but you can see it on the web, and you can filter it and do stuff with it. So if you got stuff you want to add to that database, please send us an email. But the blockchain page is kind of a cool place to go. We have just on the same website, shellypalmer.com, you can subscribe to our daily newsletter. I hope you do that. I hope you will do that. And again, please, anything, if you've got a blockchain project, you just want to chit chat or say something, reach out. We are looking at everything. We constantly look at new blockchain projects. We're doing all kinds of work in NFTs right now. As you can imagine, that is the hot topic. But we're also doing some really interesting stuff in Web 3.0 and all kinds of really new ways to surface content, audio content, video content, and it's really the most exciting time ever. And with that, look, I just want to say thanks. We do this every Wednesday. It's my favorite time of the week to get to spend with you and answer your questions. I hope that this has been valuable. If it has, please let us know. Thanks to everybody who asked questions today. And for those of you who didn't, ask questions next time. We'd love to have you. And with that, I'll just say thank you so very, very much. And we will see you all next time.